Ooh, what's going on? Welcome back to the 1776 Report, the #1 YouTube channel for exposing the hypocrisy and stupidity of the woke left. We've been told for the last couple of years that January 6th was this big organized event where all these right-wing extremists called each other on the phone and said, yes, we are going to the Capitol on January 6th. We're going to overthrow the U.S. government. It was an insurrection. It was a coup. Well, it's becoming clear by the day that that's actually not true, and it was really the exact opposite of that. But now we are hearing from Nancy Pelosi's daughter through a leaked video that was given to us by a Freedom of Information Act records release request. And it's not looking too good for Nancy Pelosi's daughter because she actually agrees with us. Let's take a listen.
Local media every day, you can't have a fair trial.
Well, the reason, I think time is going to remember January 6th differently. Right now, people are still in the heat of them. There's two things. Media needs stuff to fill.
I think time will remember January 6th differently. There's two things. One, the media needs stuff to fill. Basically saying that the media is covering January 6th just because it gets good ratings. Everybody wants to hear about it. Everybody wants to hear about this crazy insurrection. Not because it was actually an insurrection, but because we want the ratings. And over time, it will fade and people will realize what it actually was. This is Nancy Pelosi's daughter saying this. She was there on January 6th filming it. She was there with a video camera walking through the halls of the U.S. Capitol filming it with her mother.
I watched TV on January 6th. It was like January 6th, 24/7. As time goes on, it's going to be less.
Yeah.
And so I think also people are going to lose their office, their jobs. The people that were there are going to lose their jobs. So it's not going to mean anything if you weren't even there and you don't even care.
We need like a war to break out.
Yeah, no, it's right. Okay, I thank you for your time.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen, I really, I know you're not the bad guy. I mean, if there is, I haven't found the bad guy yet, but if there is, I know you're not the bad guy.
What if the guy with the eye patch? I mean, he's like a stereotypical bad guy.
But the thing is, why I asked you the question of so what was the plan? Is that if there was an insurrection, you were supposed to be in line marching. You're in the military, you know this.
No.
Here we go. This is Nancy Pelosi's daughter admitting that she does not believe that it was an insurrection because there was no plan. It was not organized. She's talking to an individual who was in the military, and she says, if it was an insurrection, you show up, you're organized, you have this master plan, and you try to follow through with the plan. But during January 6th, there was no plan. There was no master plan. It was just people who felt like there was some funny business in the 2020 election. They wanted their voices to be heard, so they showed up to a rally, a political rally, which is protected under our First Amendment constitutional right to freedom of speech. Those same individuals then walked to the U.S. Capitol, where the doors are opened by the U.S. Capitol Police. They did not breach the doors. They did not kick in the doors. The doors were opened. They were then pretty much given a guided tour through the U.S. Capitol. There were FBI informants involved, and we're learning more and more about that every day. It was not what Nancy Pelosi said. It was not what the mainstream woke media said. That narrative is being proven false. And here's Nancy Pelosi's daughter agreeing with us.
You were supposed to have a plan.
Exactly. It's called Operation Soldier. You sit down overnight with your soldiers. You go over, all right, you're going to go here. You're going to go in by this side. At this time, we're going to take over this. There was none of that.
If it was an insurrection, it's the sorriest insurrection in the 20th, 21st century ever. No guns.
If it was an insurrection, it was the sorriest insurrection ever. No guns, no plan, no organization. Because it wasn't that. Everybody knows it wasn't that. But the media narrative paid off. Paid off with ratings, and it paid off with political capital. And people are losing their lives over it. They're serving decade-plus prison sentences because of that. But the media doesn't care. Nancy Pelosi doesn't care. The woke left doesn't care because they don't care. That's the hard, cold truth. They don't care about the peasants like me and you. There was a lot of media hype about the Proud Boys trial. They were convicted of seditious conspiracy. But there wasn't a lot of media hype about this. FBI informant testifies for the Proud Boys, defense that January 6th was not organized. An FBI informant who marched with the fellow Proud Boys on January 6th testified on Wednesday that he did not know of any plans for the far-right extremist group to invade the building and didn't think they inspired violence on that day. Now, I'm not saying I agree with all the Proud Boys' opinions and their political viewpoints, but they didn't show up there with a plan to overthrow the U.S. government and change the way the election was going to be decided. I think they were pissed off. I think millions of Americans were pissed off. Millions of Americans didn't agree with the way the 2020 election was handled. They went to Washington, D.C. to say such, and it got out of hand. At worst, it was trespassing. At worst, it was destruction of property. At worst. We're not talking about seditious conspiracy here. And everybody knows it. Nancy Pelosi knows it. Remember the video footage, the clips of Nancy Pelosi saying that she was in fear of her life. She didn't know what was going to happen. It was terrifying. It was this coup. It was an insurrection. Well, here's some video footage that got leaked recently as well, proving that narrative to be false. Take a look at Nancy marching through the halls of Congress with her daughter in tow with the camera. Here's Nancy coming in, and look at all the armed security ushering her out. Doesn't look very scary to me. And look at the daughter there in the left with the camera in her hand. If you are so scared, don't you put the camera up? Don't you ditch the camera and run? But there's the camera. There's about 7 or 8 armed security guards walking through the halls of Congress. Doesn't look very terrifying to me. Nope, there's the camera. Still camera out filming. Why? Because they knew this was a political gold mine. This would help them to push their agenda. It was going to be political riches. And they used it, and they threw hard-working American men and women under the bus, literally now in prison. There's been a lot of speculation that Donald Trump will be charged by the woke Biden Department of Justice over the Mar-a-Lago classified documents in the coming weeks. Well, Matt Gaetz is saying that some Democrat members of Congress did pretty much the same thing. One big fact differentiates what Donald Trump did and what this Democrat member of Congress did. And that's Donald Trump was the president of the United States. He had the right to declassify any document he wants. But Matt Gaetz introduces a measure to censor Benny Thompson over January 6 documents. Representative of Florida Matt Gaetz unveiled a resolution Wednesday to censor Rep. Benny Thompson for allegedly not turning over January 6 documents. Thompson chaired the J6 panel until it was dissolved before the new Congress convened in January. Gaetz argues that Thompson breached House rules by not sending the panel's records to the clerk of the House. Lawmakers investigating the weaponization of the federal government are unable to determine which records of the January 6th Select Committee were kept or destroyed before Republicans took control of the House, Gaetz said in a statement. On top of not handing over the files by the end of last year, Gaetz is accusing Thompson of sending numerous records to the Biden White House and outside the rightful possession of Congress. It sounds very similar to what they're accusing Donald Trump of doing, but Donald Trump was president. You have the National Archives saying, we want these documents. Well, now you have Matt Gaetz saying the Congress was supposed to have these documents, and this representative hid them. So you have the left using what documents are advantageous for their own political narrative, but then they're possibly destroying the documents that would shine a light on what actually happened, would shine a light on the truth of January 6th. This is going to go down in history as one of the greatest political lies of all time. During the January 6th Select Committee, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats added sound. They added sound effects to the video footage. They clipped the video footage to fit their narrative. We have Nancy Pelosi's daughter telling us the truth, and the light is shining bright on what actually happened. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I love you guys. If you're new around here, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, peace.